Howdy, I'm Darren Hibbs with the 10-Week Bible, and I wanted to share just a brief thought with you out of Genesis chapter 41. We've been looking at Genesis and going through it, and just as an aside, I want to encourage you. Engage with the Bible in a more intentional way. The 10-Week Bible, what it's all about is encouraging people to read one book of the Bible at a time, once a week for 10 weeks. When you do that, when you read one book of the Bible over and over and over again, just for a short period of time, 10 weeks is just a short period of time, it will change how you see God's Word. You will start meditating on accident. You'll think about it in your free time without even trying. It will fill your mind, and it's so powerful when you do it that way. But if you've read through Genesis, you know a little bit about Joseph's story. That his brothers sold him into slavery, and then he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. And for 13 years, Joseph has languished in slavery and prison. And in 1 minute, in literally a 20-minute exchange, the Lord took Joseph out of prison and put him in charge of the most wealthy and powerful nation on planet Earth, probably in the history of planet Earth up to this point. The Lord is in the business of very dramatic transformation. The Lord's in the business of dramatic. Nobody does drama like the Lord. And this story in Genesis chapter 41 is beautiful drama. The Lord took Joseph out of prison. They had to put new clothes on him, bathe him, shave him. He was disgusting in prison and had been there for years. But they brought him before Pharaoh. Pharaoh told him his dreams, and the Lord gave Joseph the interpretation of the dreams. And the Lord gave Joseph a plan right there on the spot. And I want to read out of Genesis 41, starting at verse 41, what the Lord did with Joseph after all of these years. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He made him ride in chariots as a second in command, and people shouted before him, "Make way." Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. It goes on to describe all of the good things that Pharaoh did for Joseph. And in 1 minute, in 1 hour, in this short exchange, everything changes. And he goes from the most overlooked man in all of Egypt to the most honored man in all Egypt. Have you ever been in a place where you feel like you're forgotten and passed over, and that the Lord's he's not seeing you, he's not watching, he doesn't care? How often have you felt like that? I can't imagine how Joseph felt. He came from the family of the greatest promise in human history. He knew the stories of Abraham, Isaac, and his father Jacob. He knew what had been promised to them. He knew the implications of those promises. And yet his wicked brothers sold him into slavery, took everything away from him. I can't imagine that there was just a tremendous amount of faith left in Joseph to believe in those dreams he had had as a child, that his brothers were going to bow down to him, that his father and mother were going to bow down. But the Lord didn't forget. The Lord came through, and the Lord anointed Joseph with the greatest power and wealth of anyone in human history besides Pharaoh. That level of drama may not happen with you and I, but the Lord has not forgotten you. He's not left you behind. He has a plan and a purpose for you. Sometimes the process is not at all what we would have chosen. Joseph never would have chosen this process. None of us would. And sometimes the process, the path that the Lord has for us, we wouldn't have chosen it. But it's good because He's good. And He sees the end from the beginning. When we're on the path that the Lord has for us, when our heart is humble and we keep walking faithfully before Him, we can't lose. Even when it feels like failure all around us, He has success for us. We just have to trust that it's there. Can you trust that it's there? Will you trust that it's there even in the midst of your pain. Remember, God's good, and He hasn't forgotten you. If you're enjoying these videos, click the thumbs up button and leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that stuff. But if you're enjoying these videos, even if these are encouraging to you, I'd love for you to leave a comment. I'd love to engage with you and dialogue with you about these videos. I'm moved. I'm stirred by God's Word, and I want you to be stirred and moved by God's Word. I love going through His Word and having it move me emotionally, because I can't even imagine the emotions that Joseph was feeling when this happened to him. I'm Darren Hibbs with the 10-Week Bible. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.